Hello, welcome back to science class. We are going to talk today about another part of step 4, which is to experiment. And we talked about last time how we need to plan our experiment, and we talked about making a material list and making a step-by-step procedure. Those are all a part of the plan. Another part of the plan is to identify the different variables that are involved in our experiment. We have 3 different variables that we need to identify. We have the independent variable, we have the dependent variable, and then we have constants. We're going to talk about all 3 of them so that we are able to understand them better, and then we're going to be able to identify which ones we're using in our experiment. So the independent variable is what the experimenter changes. So they are in control of the independent variable. I like to think of the independent variable as the cause. So we have cause and effect. The independent variable is the cause. So whatever the experimenter changes, whatever they're in control of, that is the independent variable. Then we have our dependent variable. This is what is being measured as a result of the independent variable. Or I like to think of it as the effect. So the independent variable causes the dependent variable to change or not to change. It may not change. But this is the cause, this is the effect. So let's talk about in our experiment, which we had last time, does color affect temperature? What would our independent variable be? So remember, the independent variable is what the experimenter is changing. My question is, does color affect temperature? So what I am changing is color. So color would be my independent variable in this circumstance. Color, okay? Then dependent variable is what is being measured, or what is the result of me changing the color. So again, the question was, does color affect temperature? So the dependent variable, what is being measured, is temperature. I want to see if color affects temperature. Cause is color, effect is temperature, or what is being measured. Okay, so that is independent and dependent variable. Now let's come over to here to the constants. Constants are the factors we must keep the same. We should not ever change. We only change one thing in our experiment, and that is our independent variable. Now our dependent variable might change, but it would be an effect of us changing the independent, not because we ourselves have changed it. So constants, everything else in the experiment should be kept the same. So when I'm looking at my question, does color affect temperature? What are some things that I should be keeping constant or not change? If we think back to my procedure, I had cups of water. So for example, when I am thinking of a constant, I should make sure I'm using the same water every time. So it should be tap water and not bottled water and then tap water. So one of my constants would be using the same water. Another thing we talked about in our experiment is putting them in the same location, by the same window. If I have cups by the window and cups away from the window, then maybe just the cups by the window got more sun, and so that's why they're hotter. So I need to make sure they're in the same location. Also, if you remember, when I was dyeing my water, I used the same amount of food coloring in each one that was being colored. It was 3 drops. So I want to use the same amount of food coloring as well, because maybe the food coloring would affect the temperature. So same amount of food coloring. Okay? And also, one that might be very important is that I want to start out with the same temperature of water to start. Because if I don't, then maybe that one that I was hotter will be hotter when I test it, and I want to make sure they're not starting out at different temperatures. So that would be another thing I would want to keep the same. So same temperature. And I could probably think of more, and I want to be able in my experiment to think of all the things I need to keep the same, so that when I'm doing my experiment, I don't accidentally change something, and then my results will be all messed up and I don't know what is causing my results. So I want to keep constants so that I have good results and that they're not being changed by another factor coming into it. So this again is a part of planning my experiment. So I have my independent variable, my dependent variable, and my constants. I need to identify all of those before I can actually start my experiment. So we are going to next time add some more things to our plan, and then we'll talk about it when we get to actually do our experiment. So thank you for listening in. Enjoy the rest of your day.